Welcome to another episode of Quarantine Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and today we are talking about Clue, the 1985 movie based on a board game.
Which I'm pretty sure is the best adaptation of a board game I've ever seen.
Oh, definitely. What else do we have? I mean, there are options.
We've got Battleship, which was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? I'm trying to think.
I feel like there's more, and I just can't.
I'll look it up. While I'm doing that, you want to do a quick synopsis of the film?
I'm going to read the one off IMDb.
Do it.
Because my brain is quarantine-y. 6 guests are anonymously invited to a strange mansion for dinner, but after their host is killed, they must cooperate with the staff to identify the murderer as the bodies pile up. It's Clue, guys. If you've ever played Clue, it's that, but with comedy.
And it's like the who's who of 80s movies in this movie.
Yeah, it really is.
I love it.
I love Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, anything that he's in is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone in this movie is just fantastic.
It's got Christopher Lloyd, Madeline Kahn,
Michael McKean.
So many people. A million of them.
Yeah. Madeline Kahn is one of my favorite actresses because she's just in all of my classic favorite films.
Sure.
Like she's in Mel Brooks movies. She's just in the quirky comedies, and I love it. And spoilers. We're going to be spoiling a movie that came out, 30 something years ago? Whatever. Math is hard in quarantine.
35.
35 years
ago. It came
ago.
out in 1985. That's nice round math.
Math is still hard.
Sure. No, sure.
No, I had it in my brain that it was still 2019, and I didn't want to do the math. But it's 2020, and things are easy to do math with that.
Also, like, when it's anything in the 80s, Ian, you were born within the first few months of the 90s. You can just take your age and add a few years.
Logic doesn't work in quarantine.
It's so easy.
There is no such thing as logic in quarantine.
That's fair.
Anyways, Madeline Kahn has one of my favorite lines in this entire movie. And it's when it's revealed that she killed Yvette.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, hate, anger, flames in the face. And just her, like, mental breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, it's so good. Just flames.
I've heard that was improvised by her in the moment. That whole monologue.
I wouldn't doubt if a large portion of this, like the banter between the characters, was ad-libbed, because I mean these guys are just like the kings of comedy in the 80s. You know, they were so prolific in their funny movies, and they're just it's a great cast.
Yeah,
the entire third act is one of the best things ever put to film, of just seeing Tim Curry scurrying around a mansion reenacting every murder.
Yeah,
as both the murderer and the victim, and it's hilarious. Tim Curry, I love Tim Curry.
I particularly love the one that he takes the little passage and falls out of the freezer.
Yeah, and they just drop him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good. Yeah, this is it's a true classic.
It is, though, a lot like the other two we've talked about in quarantine. It was not a success initially.
Yeah. Well,
it didn't even recoup on its investment.
Yeah, which is...
from box office, anyway.
Which is so sad, because they did an experiment with the movie.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I feel like if it would have been done in the modern era with not so
Oh my
much
god,
in
can
the
you imagine with Twitter
with
if they'd
Twitter?
released a movie with 3 separate endings
It would have
and
done
Twitter was a
so
thing?
much better.
They would have broken the internet.
They really would have. Genuinely, though.
No. It would have been great.
Yeah, and so
Just a little ahead of its time.
I think having separate endings in different theaters. The thing is, if you're going to a theater and you have friends, most of those friends probably only go to that same theater, you know? Very few places have different theaters. And so I don't think that aha moment of,
Well,
oh crap,
I think it
there's...
was different. You know, if the theater was showing it a few times, it would have, like, a few different auditoriums would have different tapes.
Okay, I could see that.
Because there was one thing I read where a few theaters started advertising which ending different showings would be.
Gotcha.
In their listings. Which takes the fun out. Yeah. I mean, unless you've already seen it and you want to start collecting.
I guess that makes sense why they would do it, but what if you hadn't seen the movie yet?
You're like, what?
Do you want
Although
one
I don't
of
know what the marketing was. It's possible they marketed that it had different endings.
That's true.
None of the posters I've seen have had that on it, but I haven't, like, deep dived or anything.
Yeah. It's like, do you want the ending, one of the two endings where Tim Curry's the good guy, or do you want the one ending where Tim Curry's the bad guy?
Which ending is your favorite, Ian?
I kind of like the quote-unquote true ending where
last one.
Tim Curry is Mr. Body.
Sure.
But I think the Red Scare where Mrs. Scarlet is the villain, I think that one's probably my favorite.
See, I like the middle one.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, well, we just killed everyone who's blackmailing us. Let's go.
But then it's like Tim Curry was the FBI guy.
Yeah.
The whole time. Dum bum ba-dum.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. All three endings are good. That's the thing. Is
yeah,
like,
they are.
None of them are like, oh, I wasn't a big fan of that one. Like, each one of them plays off really well. And they do it in a way that every single ending is plausible. Like...
Right. Yeah, they were very careful. Considering this is a comedy, they were very careful with how they filmed everything to make it line up in the end.
Well, and they do a really interesting thing in the very beginning of the movie that makes you pay attention to minute details. And it's Tim Curry stepping in dog poop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he makes the motion of smelling, sniffing, looking at his shoe. And every time someone walks up to him, they make the motion of smelling, sniffing, and then looking at their own shoe, and then looking around for it. And so it makes you realize that all these characters are noticing things. And it's like, oh, I have to pay attention to that. That's something I should pay attention to. Even though that little thing is not a key point to anything. Like, it's just a comedic effect. It makes you pay attention to the smaller details. And when they start introducing new clues, like the weapons and the locations and the where secret passages lead to, it helps you focus more on those details because it's already been training you to focus on those small, minute things.
Right.
Yeah. Who directed this? I have the IMDb about Jonathan Lynn. What did he do? Him and John Landis wrote it. Jonathan Lynn.
My Cousin Vinny.
Nuns on the Run.
3 Men and a Little Lady. Huge in the late 80s, or the late 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Looks like a lot of TV shows.
Yeah,
a ton of TV shows. Interesting. Yeah, it was John Landis and Jonathan Lynn who did the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess Anthony E. Pratt was the board game Cluedo uncredited writer who helped them with
Getting the passageways correct and making sure the layout was accurate.
Yeah, the in-depth lore of Clue.
Apparently there's a novelization of this movie.
What?
And I feel like I have to find it, because it sounds kind of awful, but in a way that I shouldn't miss.
That seems so strange to me.
Yeah, like, making a movie off of a board game and then basing a book off of that movie based on a board game. It's a little interesting.
It's like
sort
Clue,
of like
the game,
taking a
based off of the
perfectly
movie,
good ride, basing a movie off of it, and then basing the ride off of the movie again, Disney. But less offensive.
All right, so I pulled up a thing that said the 6 movies that are based on classic board games. So we've got Dungeons and Dragons, which is not even a board game, it's a pen and paper, but I'm not even going to go there. Got Clue.
Yep.
Well, this one fell through. Monopoly, it's going to be shooting in 2015. Directed by, or produced by Randall Emmett. Wonder where that went. Battleship, we talked about that one. Wait, what? Candyland. Adam Sandler was developing a big screen Candyland movie, but the film seems to be caught up in legal tape with Hasbro and Landmark Entertainment Group.
Oh no.
Candyland still has a movie adaptation, though, with 2005's direct-to-DVD Candyland, The Great Lollipop Adventure.
Well, that definitely doesn't count.
Yeah. And then finally there's Ouija, which is that even considered a board game?
I guess. I don't know. They sell it in the board game aisle.
I guess so, yeah. 2014's Ouija, the game doesn't have a story built into it. I wonder why. So the writers weren't hugely limited, but they chose to make a PG-13 toothless teen horror with lots of jump scares and not much else. Wow, that is a very harsh commentary on that movie. Dang, factual. Interesting.
So I'm going to just go ahead and say that Clue and Battleship are the only legitimate board game adaptation movies.
Yeah.
Because, like, Candyland must have been a cartoon for, like, 5-year-olds, right? A direct-to-DVD children's cartoon?
It's gotta be. And 2005, so here, let me look it up. Candyland 2005 movie.
Just decided I don't even care because I'm only counting theatrical releases in my mind.
It's got an IMDb page, and
wow.
Oh dear God, that's terrifying.
Do I need to look it up?
I will send you the image.
Oh, I found it. I'm pretty good at typing in 2 words on IMDb. Oh no.
Oh, you need to put that up on the Patreon. Oh my God.
Link to the Candyland IMDb?
Yes.
Terrifying.
Oh, that is absolutely terrifying.
It's available on Amazon, guys.
Would you consider Jumanji? Because it's
fake.
So
because it is a children's book movie.
But
about a board game.
But they
that doesn't
did make
exist.
a board game after the movie came out. That you can buy
That
and
is
play.
a dangerous game to play. You can't
So
at all
it's
do
a
that.
board game based off of a movie that's based off of a board game that's in a short story. Oh, and Sathura.
Jumanji doesn't count. Sathura does not count.
Fine. See if IMDb
Slippery Slopey and Slippery Slope. God, I just really want to see what Adam Sandler wanted to do to Candyland. Poor innocent Candyland.
Probably nothing good, let's be honest.
No, definitely nothing good.
Did you ever see Pixel? His take on video games?
Yeah, I want to say I saw part of Pixel and didn't watch all of it.
I mean, that's what most of America